Last year's draft was good, and it appears they followed it up again. So we'll see how these guys turn out, Jay. I think objectively, it was handled really well. They made trades to maximize picks. They made trades to add future picks. They attacked obvious needs with good players. You know, Boston and McNeil-Warren were borderline first rounders. They got in the second round. They traded back up for McNeil.
Zac Jackson just pulled back the curtain on the Cleveland Browns 2026 NFL draft class, and honestly, this is the first time in a long time where almost everybody seems to agree on one thing. The Browns handled the board really well. And here's the part nobody is talking about. This was not just about getting good draft grades. This was about Cleveland finally attacking obvious needs with players they actually liked, while still adding future assets and moving around the board with a plan. Zac was in Berea for the chaos, and the biggest thing he made clear was that Browns fans should be excited about the process. Cleveland traded down, traded up, added future picks, and still came away with players at positions they desperately needed. Spencer Fano was the big philosophical decision. Offensive line first. Protect the quarterback, fix the front. They moved down and still got the top tackle on their board. That is exactly the kind of draft room win fans have been asking for.
My article that went up this morning, winners and losers from the Browns draft, Shedeur was the #1 winner. You know, they went through the offseason. They did not add an outside veteran. They added, players to give the quarterback a chance.
This is where it gets dangerous, because this class also changes the conversation around Shedeur Sanders. Zac even said Shedeur was the #1 winner from the Browns draft, and it makes sense. The Browns did not bring in some outside veteran to block his path. Instead, they added offensive line help, receiver help, and more depth around the offense. That does not mean he is handed the job, but it does mean Cleveland is trying to get a fair evaluation of him. 4 games, 8 games, maybe even a full season. They want to know what they have.
Look, Denzel Boston is a guy that's in the discussion late in the first round. They had chosen Concepcion. They had zeroed in on him for his skill set and his explosiveness. And then 15 picks later, Boston's there.
The receiver moves were huge. Concepcion was targeted for his explosiveness and specific skill set. But then Denzel Boston was still there just 15 picks later. Zac said Boston was in the late first round discussion, and Cleveland had him ranked high, but they chose Concepcion first. Then Boston fell, and suddenly they had both. That is how a good board falls for you. One guy gives you quickness and juice, the other gives you size, production, and a red zone target.
So this is a true, almost 6'4" outside wide receiver who was productive. I don't think anybody knows how fast he is. I don't think anybody's sure of the learning curve, or he would have been a first round pick. But some of the tape, especially from his second year in college, is really good.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. Boston being there helped the Browns move from "we addressed receiver" to "we may have rebuilt the room." He is nearly 6'4", productive, and gives them a different body type. Nobody knows exactly how quickly he adjusts, but the upside is clear. Cleveland looked at its receiver room and admitted it was not good enough. That alone feels like progress. Then came the inside draft room note that really matters. The Browns badly wanted McNeil-Warren. Zac said they thought he might go early in the second round, and he was in the conversation when they picked Boston. They had Boston ranked higher, so they took him. But just a few picks later, they realized McNeil-Warren was still sitting there, and they started working the phones. They didn't find the move right away, but eventually they traded up and got him. That is the pick they were clearly excited to chase.
Some other guys that they liked and obviously just passed on because they chose McNeil-Warren in that spot started to come off the board.
This is where young players usually make a mistake. They hear steal and think the job is automatic. McNeil-Warren still has to prove it, but when a team is actively trying to trade up because it believes a player should already be gone, that tells you something. Cleveland saw a safety with value, versatility, and upside, and they refused to just wait around hoping he fell. That is aggressive drafting, but not reckless drafting.
So they felt the need to go back in and get Austin Barber, which I think is a smart move. Even if he doesn't ever become a starter for you, you have to invest better.
Austin Barber was another important piece. Zac explained that some tight ends and other targets started coming off the board, so the Browns pivoted and went back to offensive line. Barber can play both sides and maybe guard if needed. Even if he never becomes a full-time starter, the Browns had to invest better than they did last year. Going into last season with fragile left tackle options hurt them. This year, they clearly did not want to repeat that mistake. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Cleveland's draft was not only about stars, it was about survival. Offensive line depth is not exciting until you need it. Then it becomes everything. Fano gives them the premium answer. Barber gives them depth and flexibility. The rest of the offensive line additions create competition. That is how you stop one injury from wrecking the entire offense. Zac also pushed back on the idea that this draft was some dramatic anti-Paul DePodesta philosophy shift. His point was simple. The Browns finally had picks again, and when they had picks, they attacked needs. Maybe Todd Monken had clear input. Maybe the board felt different. But Zac didn't buy the idea that one person leaving suddenly unlocked everything. The bigger difference may be that Cleveland had resources and a clearer offensive mission. And that mission was obvious. Give the quarterback room a real chance. Whether it's Shedeur or someone else, the Browns are trying to remove the excuse that the offense has no support. The line is deeper, the receivers are better, the defense is still expected to be strong. Now they can evaluate the quarterback position with a cleaner picture. If Shedeur works, they're looking at a playoff contender. If he doesn't, Zac said they have the future assets to go chase a quarterback next year. This is where it gets dangerous, because the Browns may have put themselves in a win-win evaluation spot. If Shedeur proves he's the guy, they can spend next year's draft differently and build around him. If he doesn't, they can package picks and go get someone else. That's why adding future fourth-rounders matters. It gives flexibility, it gives trade ammo, it gives the front office options. The bigger legacy angle is that this draft may become the class that changes the temperature around Andrew Berry. Last year's draft already helped. This one, if it hits, could completely reshape how fans view him. Back-to-back strong drafts can rebuild trust fast, but the key phrase is if it hits. Zac said it plainly. These guys need to produce. Draft grades are nice. Behind-the-scenes excitement is fun, but the Browns need real players, not just good draft week stories. So now the debate starts. Did Zac Jackson's inside notes prove the Browns finally ran a smart, aggressive, need-based draft with real direction, or are fans getting too excited before these rookies take a snap? Because if Fano stabilizes left tackle, Boston and Concepcion fix the receiver room, McNeil-Warren becomes the steal they believe he is, and Shedeur gets a fair shot, this draft might be remembered as the turning point. But if the players don't produce, all those A grades and draft room stories won't mean a thing.